Well, thank you very much, and I can tell you that sitting up here for the second session today, there is no global warming going on in this room because I'm freezing. My name is Bette Grande, as was introduced, and what my topic is going to be really is to focus on a little bit different aspect of what we've been hearing about over the last couple days, and that is because we've been spending a lot of time talking about what those guys are all been saying and what their agenda is. I want to talk about what could be our part of our agenda and what is our plan going to be. Let's see if I can remember to do two things at once. I'm going to be talking about the overreach of the federal government and what is the response, what should that response be from the states and from the Congress. And so from that, I had spent 18 years in the North Dakota House of Representatives, and just finished my last session was so just starting this year was the first session I hadn't served in for many years. And so I came to work for Heartland. And in that, I just want to just kind of bring to you some of the things we have worked on as legislators over the last few years in this issue. I served on the ALEC, American Legislative Exchange Council. I was the chair of the Energy Subdivision and worked for my last year there as chairing with the Energy, Environment, and Agricultural section because the actual chair had had a stroke, so I'd stepped up into his position a bit. And with that, I also served on CSG, of which is the state government. What's the first word? Council of State Governments. Thank you. I was on their energy task force area too, and I was a member of NCSL, but I did not attend their meetings. Their agenda didn't quite fit into my train of thought. But I will be attending theirs now, starting with Heartland. So with that, we have at this point, the question is who's holding the controls here? You know, are they going to force the electric cars and are they going to drive us around? But with that, you know, the overreach of the various agencies and the acts that have been put in place are not constitutional. They don't have the constitutional authority to do so. So what is it that we can do? Congress needs to stop what's going on. The states need to push back and take the power that's been taken away from them and take it back. So taking care of and stopping the outside the fence regulations, and that's going to be the key to this. And with that, you know, here's just a subtle list of some of the things that have to be combated. And with this, I mean, I would add the waters of the U.S. is another one, and you know, the Department of Energy could be added to this too, and anything that's falling within these realms. Now, some of you might be looking at that and say, well, some of those don't seem to be in the global warming thing, but I also add Endangered Species Act to this list. And I'll kind of explain why in all of this, but if you think about it, they're using every tool that they can to stop fossil fuels at any way, in any level they can. And the Endangered Species Act is just one more of their tools, because if they can enact, so say in North Dakota right now, one of the big things they're pushing is the greater sage grouse. Where does the greater sage grouse? That's right in the Bakken. So what does that mean? They're going to limit where the land can be drilled, where the pipelines can go, when anything can be used or not used, because boy, we can't do anything during the breeding season. We can't do anything during the laying of the eggs season. You can't bother the chicks. So all of a sudden, you've taken up the spring and the summer, and well, that's right, North Dakota does what in the winter? So, you know, they know what they're doing, and they have a strategy to it, and so they're going to utilize everything they can. And in that, they have an overreach issue. And this federal overreach is enough to make me pull my hair out too. My grandson had this shirt on and it says, if you can't see it, it says, "Are these people really my relatives?" And he sits down in the chair and he's kind of doing this, so I had to snap the picture. But one of my close friends gave him that. You know, I'm thinking, hey, that's not fair. And she says, it fits. So with that, we know that they're going to do everything they can to shut down the coal industry. They're going to do everything they can to shut down the oil and gas industries, and with that, shuts down agriculture. And so, what is being done about it? What can we do? And I joked with the gentleman in the back of the room, and I won't make you embarrassed by it, but that this is going to turn into a bit of an ALEC tutorial. And I will brag up the American Legislative Exchange Council on that because of the great amount of work that has been done by the legislators and that organization to really help all the different states' legislators to get the right information in place and set up model policies. And so with that, the first set of ones I'm going to just take a glance at here is the Clean Air Act ones. And all of this can be found on the alec.org website. And you can go into the Energy Task Force and pull any of these up. But this first one deals with the 111D overreach and has to do with the EPA Clean Air Act and the guidelines and the standards. And the big difference is the states are supposed to the states have the right to write the standards. The EPA is supposed to offer guidelines. Well, they flipped that on us in 111D. And so we need to be able to push back and put that back in the places it belongs. The next one, the act requiring approval for the state's plans, the SIP plans. I don't know if anybody was in on one of the earlier meetings, but we had a discussion with the senator from Arizona, and that dealt with whether or not the SIP plans were going to be put in place. And those state implementation plans can be detrimental to the states, yet the states are feeling pressured and the industry is feeling pressured to put those in place because they're afraid that the federal government's going to write it for them if they don't. The next one is dealing with the greenhouse gases and the clean air pieces. And the next ones I list out on that are the climate I guess I skipped that, but this one dealing with the mercury laws, the ozone laws, the tailoring laws, rules. These are all very important pieces, and yes, we don't want mercury, we understand that, but each of the states can make those determinations, but they have to also be done in a fashion that doesn't shut down power in the process. And they set regulations that are too high, too fast, and they can't be met, of which shuts down some of the power plants. So with that, we have also in place accountability acts. And with those, I'm kind of jumping through my notes really fast here, so bear with me for a second. We have some model pieces that we had put together that require implementation of these various plans. But how is it that the state has the opportunity to deal with those? And each of these things, I don't want to take a lot of your time in the specifics of it, but your state legislators, so when you go home, you tell your state legislators, get involved and look on this site and find these model pieces and start implementing into our state the proper things to stop these rogue agencies and acts from taking place. Make no mistake, they're going to use every tool in the book, and they're going to do anything they can to shut down fossil fuels. And so with that, the things that we also have in place are things with states' rights. And so the Interstate Coal and Use Act, the Interstate Oil and Gas Use Act, and these are things that need to be taken place, need to be worked on and implemented because the states should be in control. The states need to work together. One of the issues I know that we in North Dakota, and I keep referring to North Dakota because born and raised there and having served in the legislature for a long time, these things are near and dear to my heart. But also, we have the Bakken, and with that, it has been such a massive development aspect, and it has been what has created almost between Texas and North Dakota with the shale plays. We're the ones who have had all the jobs. We're the ones creating jobs. We're having jobs that are tripling salaries in places. We've had places, towns in North Dakota that have grown 6 times their size in the matter of less than 4 to 5 years. The budgets in North Dakota didn't even know what $1 billion budget was, and now we're in the multi-billion-dollar budgets. This is a big deal, and they're trying to shut it down. And we need to do everything we can to stop it, and that's where our involvement to this comes. And that's why the states' rights part is so, so very important. Our regulators in North Dakota, and I say North Dakota, but I mean all the way straight down through to Texas, that whole Midwest section, our regulators know exactly what needs to be done in that state, and they will do it the right way, not to shut down business, but to work with the private sector to get the job done. So with that, we need to talk about then what is the federal side? You know, what are they going to do and how are they going to deal with this? And these are very important issues, and we must support our congressmen to get it done right. What a blessing to have the head of the Senate and the House come here and talk to us, to know that we have friends that understand in Washington right now. And I just felt so honored that my congressman would show up last night to dinner. What a blessing. I mean, again, it's one of those odd things that maybe a lot of states don't understand. In North Dakota, I just text my congressman and said, hey, will you come to dinner? You know, we have each other's cell numbers. But that's the closeness of the people to the government in places like North Dakota. And so with that, these are, you know, we know we have these types of things to deal with. And I included hydraulic fracking with this because that is a part of the regulations that they're putting out right now are trying to shut down fracking also. So I will move on to the fact that there are the things and actions in Washington and what they should be doing. The power needs to go back, and they need to take back the power. Those acts are in place, and they need to cut back those acts. They need to defund those acts. They need to do what they need to do. The House of Representatives was what was intended and designed to be the closest to the people, and the people were at the source of the political powers and authorities of the nation. Congress was designed and intended to be the most powerful branch of the federal government. Am I the only one who keeps getting that flash of bright light? Oh, okay, thank you. But over the years, our elected representatives have allowed the other branches to usurp their authority. We have Article 1, Section 7 of the Constitution, where which states that the opening sentence of all bills are for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives. Defund these people. It's just that simple, but it's that difficult with their processes that they have in place. So having said that, I went in and looked up a couple of my favorites, you know, with Thomas Jefferson and the like, and I just really think that between what Madison had to say about the powers of what the original government was set up for, but it always reminds me and always comes back to the saying, and I didn't put who said it because it's a telltale little thing that came about that says that a lady walked up to Dr. Franklin during the Constitutional Convention, and she says, well, doctor, what have we got, a republic or a monarchy? And he claimed, a republic if you can keep it. And we are coming very close to no longer having a republic. So at this point, the question is, who is that in my territory? So, thank you very much.